Hello, 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 everyone. Welcome to the Bold Unstoppable Show. I am Dr. Rochel Marie Lawson, the Queen of Feeling Fabulous. And I have three fabulous ladies here with me tonight that are our panelists. And we are going to be discussing Beyond the Boardroom, redefining success on your own terms. So, pretty much the synopsis of the show is like this. Um, we challenge societal norms and redefine success on our own terms, whether it's prioritizing our wellness, finding balance, or blazing our own trail. And so we're going to engage in some conversation and we're going to be flipping the script on what it means to be successful. You see out there, ladies, kings, queens, or queens and kings, you see for way too long success has been defined by corner offices, titles, promotions, jam packed calendars, and the relentless grind. But here's the truth: success isn't a one size fits all, it's a personal, purposeful, and powerful mission. And when it's aligned with your truth, you actually become really bold and unstoppable. And so, in today's episode, Beyond the Boardroom, redefining success on your own terms, is your permission to slip out and throw society's checklist away and craft your own vision of success that is filled with richness and joy and wellness, and be unapologetically bold about doing that. Our panelists today are living proof that success can be soulful, spacious, and self defined. And they've each walked unique paths, blazed trails, and found fulfillment outside of the traditional boxes that we once were held in. And so, whether you're in the boardroom, building your business from the kitchen table, or rewriting your story after a life's detour, this conversation is for you. And so before we dive in, I would like each panelist to introduce themselves and tell us a little bit about them. And we're going to start with Debbie.
Hi, my name is Debbie. I am an executive behavioral coach currently. The name of my company is Life in Bloom NY for New York, because that's where it originally started, because that's where I used to live. I don't live there anymore. It started off as a life coach company. I had a spiritual mentor for 24 years, and she passed away in 2021 of cancer. So I decided to, even though I knew everything, she taught me pretty much everything I know. So I just decided to basically continue her work and start my own business, which, like I said, I was kind of doing anyway. So I was focusing on executive coaching. One of the reasons is because of COVID, because of the pandemic, because of, companies going bankrupt for all different reasons. And the fact is that they don't have to go bankrupt because of any outside force.
Oh, I love it. I love it. So there we have our panelist, Debbie. Jess Callahan, tell us a little bit about you.
Yes, so I'm Jess, and I've been an entrepreneur for, I guess, a little bit over 12 years by now. Today, I am an energetic alignment coach. So I work with women to realign their businesses so they can create from a place of flow and not force. They can pursue their purpose and overcome burnout. Prior to this, though, I had built two businesses, one in real estate and one bricks and mortar, family entertainment business. But I built them in a way that they really weren't sustainable for me. I also have 3 young kids, and it was just, I don't think I realized how quickly I was burning out. And so fibromyalgia diagnosis and the decision to walk away from everything to heal myself and rebuild is what brings me here.
Wow. Welcome, Jess. It's a pleasure to have you. And now, Urmi Hossain. Did I say that correctly?
It's Hossain. All good. All good. Yes, my name is Urmi. I am based in Montreal. I am a corporate girl. I work in the financial sector. I've been in this industry for the past 8 to 9 years. It's what I have really studied for. I really enjoy being in the financial sector. Besides being a 9 to 5 girl, I like to consider myself a 5 to 9 girl. I am a self-published author, speaker, blogger, mentor, YouTuber. I'm also a big advocate of women's empowerment. I'm currently the social media lead at the Women in Leadership organization for the Victoria chapter, where we basically provide the leadership development programs to the women in the community. We also have a mentorship program, and I run the Instagram account. I do like Instagram lives, invite coaches, and we have very fun conversations all related to women's empowerment.
Oh, well, welcome, Urmi. So we have three fabulous panelists today, and I want to jump in. So let's start with some real talk, ladies. What was your earliest definition of success growing up, and how has that definition evolved over time? And so, Debbie, I want to start with you, and then we're going to take a quick break after you, Debbie, and then we'll come back and I'll get Urmi and Jess's take on that question as well.
So my earliest success growing up was when I graduated high school, because I never thought that I was going to graduate.
Oh,
School was not my thing. And then I went on and I graduated college. And then I went to another college and another college. So each time I graduated from a school, my self-esteem got higher and higher. And then I knew that I was able to go on and on to finally go to graduate school to get a graduate degree. So that came after 2 or 3 schools, right? Because if I didn't pass the first school, let's just say high school, then would I have been able to have, would I have been able to, maybe not grade wise, not even get to another school, but think that I can graduate from another school if I didn't graduate from the first school. So I think
your first definition for you, or what you saw, was that getting that high school diploma, right? What borough are you from?
I'm from New York.
I know which.
Oh, Long Island.
Okay. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, sometimes it's the things that we often take for granted that lead us to our journey of having more success. And so we're going to come right back to the Bold Unstoppable show. I'm going to take a quick break, and then we'll be right back with more conversation. All right, we are back to the Bold Unstoppable show, and I am Dr. Rochel Marie Lawson, the Queen of Feeling Fabulous. And I was asking the ladies, what was their earliest definition of success growing up, and how has that definition evolved over time? And so, Jess, I would like for you to share, what was your earliest definition of success growing up?
I think from a young age, I just expected to fall into the expectation of like having it all and doing it all. And, I wanted to be a mom and climb a corporate ladder somewhere. And I wanted to, be a wife and have a household and not compromise on any of those things. So I think a lot of my definitions of success were really tied to societal norms around like a woman who does want to work and maintain the balance between like home life and working. And over time, it's changed a lot. I mean, I think that I was always sort of working towards this like unachievable number, or I don't even know if I knew what I was working towards. I was just working harder to juggle more, grow bigger. And I really don't even think I was like in touch with myself enough to know what it was that I was like striving for. And so over time, I think the more that I've really developed self-awareness, like really gotten to know myself at a deep level, I think my definition of success now really falls into like the impact that I can make in my world. So what are the like the gifts that I can share with people, and how can I share, my stories and the lessons that I've learned to help somebody else on their journey. And I also think it's being able to work within my like energetic flow. So, following creativity when I feel creative, and just following the inspiration to work hard when it's time for me to work really hard, and to rest when it's time for me to rest. I think that is success for me, is being able to balance the things that I really like want to do with my life.
Perfect. Thank you so much for sharing. Urmi, what about you?
I share a very similar definition to what Jess had just said. I also used to think that success is really just following what the society expects you to do. And I also used to think that it's all about climbing the corporate ladder and having a great job, great title, being the CEO of a company, and being myself a part of the corporate world. I'm still a corporate girl. I changed that idea that success is about climbing the corporate ladder. Like, I used to think that to be successful you had to be a manager, and it's all about titles and having a great reputation. But this is one thing that I realized, that I think success goes beyond really the titles. I think it's more about influencing people, inspiring people, leading by example, and also doing the things that makes you the happiest. This is also the reason why I do so many things outside of my day-to-day job, because doing these other things such as female mentorship, creating content, writing, self-publishing books brings you so much more fulfillment and satisfaction that other things wouldn't do. And you are able to also make connections with people as you are getting outside of the comfort zone and following your passions and
I can relate
doing
to all of you ladies.
something that will bring meaning to you, but also to the people that you connect with. So for me, that's the definition of success.
I love it.
Nowadays.
I can relate to a little bit of what you all said. For me, success was me going to college, being the first person to my family to go to a four-year university at the age of 16. And I'm from a generation where I'm the only granddaughter, so it was nothing. I was just the girl and a bunch of boys. And so I would follow what I thought it was successful. I'd go to college, I'd get married just like my mom did. And, my aunts and uncles, and then I'd have kids and, be a part of my children's upbringing and stay married, forever, whatever the case would be. But it evolved. And so, as life changes, I'm that rebel girl. So what was the norm in my family, well, I realized I got to a certain point where it wasn't fulfilling for me. It was, of course, I love raising my kids and, all that kind of stuff, but the whole stereotypical expectation to stay married and be in a situation, even when you weren't happy or fulfilled and not doing what your heart's desire, took a hold of me. And then of course, I've always been a rebel, but I just became a rebel and thought, the heck with this, I'm gonna create my own path, because obviously the path that I adopted wasn't for me. And I just think the divine had a different path for me, which led me to where I am today. And so we're gonna take another quick break, you all, but we're gonna come back. And when we come back, we're gonna really dive into some more dialogue about success and what it means for us and how we've evolved and the whole beyond the boardroom. Yeah, when you're in the boardroom, you can consider that as a part of your success, but it's not necessarily your success. And how do you redefine success on your own terms? So we will be right back in just a few minutes to the Bold Unstoppable Show. Hello and welcome back to the Bold Unstoppable Show, where I have three phenomenal ladies here and we're dialoguing about redefining success. And so my next question, ladies, is this. Can you share a pivotal moment when you realized that chasing someone else's version of success was no longer serving you? And Urmi, Urmi, I want to start with you because you're still and I don't want to say it like that, but you're in the different arena. We're the three of us are entrepreneurs, and you're working as an executive in for a company. And so, how does that question reflect with you? What are your thoughts? What would you like to share? I think you're muted, hon. We can't hear you. Okay, we'll come back. We'll go with, oh, okay, go ahead. Hermie. Okay, Jess, we'll start with you. How does the question resonate with you, and what are your thoughts about the pivotal moment when you realized that you were probably chasing someone else's dream, someone else's version of success, and it really wasn't serving you any longer?
Well, I think that I had a couple of moments. I think there were, in my real estate business, I think that one of the things that really started to just speak to me is that I was really struggling with the idea that I needed to prove myself like every day, that like my integrity was constantly on the line, and like those shifts just really started to like sit in the back of my mind. But and I think the work that I was doing every day, even just like something as simple as that, like just the work of my daily life was becoming, I was like starting to resent it, I think. And I still ignored it. I mean, I still just like continued down the path that I was on and was just thinking, everything will be fine. I had a lot on my plate. I think I was in functional freeze, which a lot of us, I think, live in that space and don't have the capacity to like look outside of our situation and dream of something different. So I would love to say that I had a conscious moment where I made the decision to follow a different path, but that is not what happened. I ended up just in a really, really a big like chronic pain flare up. And I know I've had chronic pain for a lot of my life, but it was debilitating. I really, it stopped me in my tracks. I think that I ignored the signs for so long that my body was just like, okay, if you don't want to listen to these subtle cues, we'll give you a bigger one. And so how's this one? And so yeah, I really I couldn't do more. I had brain fog. I couldn't put sentences together. Like I really couldn't even like socialize. And so I had to walk away from everything. And I wouldn't say it was a slow, like a gradual decline. I took a pause. And then when I really like reflected on whether I wanted to re-enter the life that like I had built, or if I wanted to just like tear it all down, the tearing it down was what I chose, and I've never looked back.
The pivotal moment for you came in the midst of doing real estate. Being a real estate.
I would say the pivotal moment was the flare up, was the fibromyalgia. I don't think that it was a conscious choice for me. I think it was
your body was like, hey, you're not paying attention. Guess what? You're gonna pay attention now, right? Yeah. What about you, Debbie? Any pivotal moments that you could share?
Well, before I was doing this work, I worked in retail and I was managers for stores, and I was very, very successful. So they were basically making a lot of money because I was increasing a lot of gains, and I was just like on their radar, number one, and I kept getting promoted, from store to store. So they were getting their gains and their profit because of me, right? Bottom line, right? And my employees and stuff. So I don't want to be, and then I was actually in a car accident in 2006 and I almost died. So, and then I had to get 2 knee replacements. So then that career was gone, the retail career was gone. So that was probably the pivotal moment. But the point is that I want to be able to have financial freedom, and I don't want to have to work for somebody where somebody is dictating to me how much they're going to pay me, right? And then I'm making money for them, different things like that. And it's not about greed, it's not about money. It's just about the fact that I want to do it for myself because I want to know that I can be successful in this, in anything really. But I choose this.
I love this. So then this is a question I'm going to throw up now. What would you say, and we'll have Urmi, we'll have you do this one. And then ladies, you can jump in as well. But what would you say if you could talk to your younger self and say, hey, you need to live the life that you desire to live, shake the what you should be doing based on what other people's perspective is based on their life. Live the life you should be doing. What would you say to your younger self, or to any young lady out there, or hell, anybody out there that's watching and listening to us that is caught in this, I want to say, this time warp of they're being pulled in many directions, but they're afraid to take a step out into their own path and command their own destiny. Ladies, Urmi, what would you say?
I would definitely say to my younger self, do not perform a role in the society, but just be yourself. Because there's so many, we already spoke about this a little bit, about society expectation and what people expect of us, what's considered normal. And I think often what happens is majority of the time people are performing a role to fulfill those requirements that are considered normal, but we are betraying ourselves by not showing up for our truest self. And this is something that I really had to learn throughout, my teenagehood, also my adulthood. And I think I was able to, accept myself and embrace my unique self only later in the years, because I didn't have anyone to tell me those things, such as, live the life in your own terms, go and explore things, be adventurous, be fearless, be bold. I always felt like I was very much limited because of those expectations. You didn't want to make anyone upset, you didn't want to disappoint anyone, and all you could see around you was that success was defined by having a good job, by making sure that you're married, that you have kids, and all of these things. But in my mind, I always questioned that. I always questioned things such as, where is this written? Like, where does it say that I have to do things this way? And this is also why I mentor young female, because I want to teach this message that, you can pursue your dreams. You can do anything that you want in your life, and you really don't have to follow what society did. Like, society is not going to dictate your life, and you should not let that dictate your life. So this is what I would tell my younger self.
I love it. I was had a lot of expectations on me being the only girl in the generation of my kids, and so when I got married at 18, well, it was expected that I got pregnant right away. Well, I'm like a junior in college. I'm always been a rebel, and I always had a mouth that would get me in trouble. So I would say stuff and then I'd get popped in the mouth. But when I finally got pregnant at the age of 25, my grandmother was like, first of all, they were like asking me over the years, is there something wrong with him? No. Is there something wrong with you? No, I actually don't even like kids. So why would I have kids? I'm not going to be like you all and be 19, 20 married and, with 3 or 4 kids. That just wasn't me. I just knew I was going to be a boss. I didn't know how, but I was. So anyways, when I got pregnant, I was telling my mom, and I didn't tell anybody until I was like 4 months pregnant. And I was telling my mom, and at that time she smoked. I said, Mom, I got something to tell you. And she's like, what? Like, expecting me to say I'm getting a divorce or something like that. I said, I'm pregnant. She's like, oh, wait a minute. Hold up. We've been married for 8 years, 7, 8 years. Let me get a cigarette because I need to process this. But the whole point of the conversation was that because I came from families that had a history of doing what their parents did, their moms had did, and their grandmas had did, and I was the total rebel breaking that mold, it was like it was so taboo. I remember one aunt telling me, honey, you know, you're going to be an old maid by the time you have kids. And when I did get pregnant, my grandmother was like, girl, you better hurry up and have a bunch of them because you old. And I'm like, I'm 25 years old. That is not old. So it's funny how things have been placed upon us that we absorb. Sometimes this is taught to us and, you know, put on us as we're kids, and we keep hearing it constantly. And then we grow up thinking, well, this is what I'm supposed to do, even though it's not what you feel you're supposed to do. You do it and then realize this is not for me. This is not what I'm supposed to do. I'm supposed to be what I want to be and do what I want to do. And it shouldn't matter because I am me. I'm unique and I'm a new generation creating a new path to my bliss. And so it's just funny when Urmi was talking about it, I'm like, yeah, I remember those days. Societal norms in my family tradition was placed upon me, and I took a lot of heat, but I was totally not that. So ladies, what we're saying out there, if you're listening to us, you're watching us, you're young, don't let others' expectations of how you should live your life be how you live your life if it's not in alignment with what you want to do. If it's not in alignment, if you don't feel powerful, if it doesn't resonate with you, if you're having physical, emotional, mental struggles with it, it's not for you. Go ahead and be that trailblazer, break out and do whatever the hell you want to do, because we only got one life to live. And if we're not living it for ourselves, we damn sure are not pleasing ourselves. So my next question is, what does success look and feel like for you now in this current season of your life? And let's start with Debbie.
It's great. I feel great. This is truly a new chapter in my life, from moving to a new place very far away, to expanding my career, my business, doing a lot of different things than I'm used to doing, you know, to work my business and help people. So it's truly, I feel like it's a new awakening. I feel like I'm a completely new person. You know, I have the same brain, you know, I'm literally the same person, but spiritually and mentally, I really don't feel that way. So that, to me, that's a really positive thing, because I want to, you know, advance and grow, you know, in my life and, you know, in my body and stuff, and, you know, mentally and physically. And, you know, this is the time for me to do it.
Do you feel you shed your skin and now that the true essence of you is really shining brightly?
Definitely. 100%.
I love it. Okay, we got to take another quick break, but we'll be right back to the Bold Unstoppable Show. And we're going to continue dialoguing with Debbie, Jess, and Urmi. We'll be right back. Okay, welcome back to the Bold Unstoppable Show. We're dialoguing here. We're talking about some stuff about really redefining success on our own terms, breaking the societal norms that have been placed upon us, and what success really is beyond the boardroom. We all know that when you make it to the C-suite, that is society's definition of success for women. But what we're here to share with you all is success doesn't have to be that, and you can redefine it on your own terms. And so as we move forward in our conversation, I want to ask the ladies this, and any one of you who want to take this, just jump right in and take this question. But how do you integrate success with your wellness, mentally, emotional, spiritual, and physical well-being?
So I'll take this one. I've had to be really intentional about this balance as I've, you know, worked through healing myself and integrating, chronic pain as part of my journey. I really don't let that define me by any means, but I know it's always going to be something that I have to be mindful of. And in some ways I see it as almost like a gift, for lack of better words, because it really does make me just really be intentional. I live my life without a lot of structure. I have certain structure that I need to be able to, get done in a day what I need to do. But I also, I have like an actual like intentional toolkit of things that I know that I need to check off each week to stay in balance. And so, there's a lot of yoga in that, and walking in nature, and giving myself permission to wake up. And, maybe I had plans to do a hot yoga flow class, but like, I just don't feel like doing it. And so that's what I'm going to do. I'm not going to do it. And so I think it's really just like knowing, each of those areas, like how I can find my balance, keeping that like toolkit available to me, and then waking up each day and giving myself the flexibility to say, like, I'm not doing that today, or I do want to do that today. And like, what's like, if I stay really in touch with myself, like what's going to keep me feeling like whole and balanced.
I love that. Now, you mentioned you have small children. How old are your kids?
So I have 3. My oldest is 11 and 10 and 3.
Oh, okay. So
Yeah.
now, do you think by leading by example and putting yourself in a place where you're, working on your spiritual, emotional, physical, and mental well-being, that you're sharing or showing, leading by example for your children? Now, they may not all grasp it, but they know mommy's doing yoga, or, mommy's taking a walk or whatever, or we're taking a walk with mommy. Do you think that you're setting an example for them to help them as they move forward and grow up, with redefining success for them?
I hope so. I always just question if I'm doing enough, if I'm doing the right things. But my kids will they'll tell me about they weren't able to like fall asleep one night, and so they repeated the like meditation that I do with them a lot of nights. It's really just like a body scan, active energy clearing meditation. Or they'll sit down and want to talk about like processing an emotion with me. And, that's not a tool that I had growing up at all. I mean, all emotional processing, I had to really learn myself. And so, I think that, from that perspective, I think that they're learning a lot. And I think that they're already sort of like entering the world in a way that they're balanced, and they have the tools that they need to like just be in touch with themselves and know what they need. And so I hope it's enough.
That's cool. Now, are they boys and girls, or is there a mix?
I have oldest boy, and the next 2 are girls.
Oh,
And the first 2 are 14 months apart. So it was like a really chaotic time.
Irish twins,
Yeah.
or Italian twins, as we say. I love it. I think you are leading by example. And even though they're going to go through some period of time where, you don't know nothing. And, when they get to be teens, they think everything they're doing, they've created themselves, with knowing we did it and been there and done it, and can still do it better than them, right? As they evolve into adulthood, they will take those skills that you're sharing with them, and they'll understand how important it is for them to put their health and well-being first. Because you're instilling it with them now. And I truly believe that. Urmi, what about you? So what do you do to integrate success in your wellness, so that you have that mental, emotional, and spiritual, physical well-being, as you're in the corporate world, so you get a lot of different energy coming at you? How do you stay physically fit in those areas?
So I do a bunch of different things, and I have a very rigid structure, meaning that, I like to do a lot of physical things, such as I like to go for my walk. I like to enjoy my morning coffee. I like to do a lot of social activities. And most importantly, especially because I work in the corporate job, I like to do a lot of boxing. So this is one thing that I started to do a couple of years ago. And so let's say I have a structure where at least once or twice a week I go and do boxing, and I make sure that, I'm releasing the stress of the day, the anger of the day. So that really helps. And in the summer, I really like to run, because it does give me that fresh air and that moment where I'm really disconnecting and I'm in the nature. I also do a lot of walking, which is something that, let's say, even now that I work in the corporate job, like I usually get off 2 stations before my stop, and I take a walk look outside, stay in the sunlight as much as I can, especially because we have long winters in Montreal and they can be long and dark sometimes. I'm like, okay, I have to, enjoy the sun as much as I can. So I'm going to be out as much as I can. And I really like to be creative, and the creative, like when it comes to creativity, I like to do a lot of, I like to try a lot of like baking things. So I like to do some baking stuff, and I like to cook like pasta and try different pasta dishes. And those are my moments of joy. That's when I'm like, I feel like I'm learning something even when I'm not, working or reading. And also there is also reading, which is a big part of my life. I tend to read on a daily basis, at least 10 minutes a day while I'm in the metro. And that moment is like religious for me. Like it's non-negotiable. Like I'm not going to give up on that. And I'm not someone who like scrolling on the phone when I'm going, let's say to work. I'm usually like reading and I'm disconnected. I'm fully there. So I feel like I did a couple of things to make my day, days productive.
I love it. I love it. I love you. Both you and Jess do a lot of stuff that I do. What about you, Debbie? What are your, how do you stay successful in your mental, emotional, spiritual, and physical well-being?
How about eating right? I eat salads. I eat healthy. I eat eggs, a lot of protein. And, I try to stay as active and as energetic that I can. I walk a half a mile and then I walk the dog. So it's probably about 3/4 to a mile a day. We have a half a mile walking trail over here. And yes, I do walk it in 98-degree weather, which is fine with me. So yeah, you got to get used to it. So, I also do meditation, and I do all different types of meditation. I teach it. A lot of times I'll go on YouTube and I'll just put in the search, healing meditation. Somebody mentioned about scanning your body. I've done that also. There's tons of meditations about that. There's just so many different kinds. Healing is just one example. You can heal one part of your body, and all these different things. So all of those things combined makes me a good candidate to coach somebody. Because if I'm not in the right frame of mind and I am not okay with my own well-being, then it's going to be very difficult to teach somebody to do that, to be that way.
Again, I love it because we're really sharing information with the masses about how we can redefine success and make our mental, spiritual, emotional, and physical well-being a priority. And so we've got to take another quick break. But when we come back, we're going to engage more in this dialogue of redefining success outside what societal norms set out, particularly for us women. And stay tuned. We'll be right back to the Blissful Living Show is what I was going to say, but we're going to be right back to the Bold Unstoppable Show. We'll be right back. All righty, welcome back to the Bold Unstoppable Show. And I've got 3 phenomenal panelists with me this evening. And so my next question, lady, is what one bold decision you made that took you off the traditional path? And how did that redefine your personal or professional life? And so, Debbie, let's start with you. What was one bold decision you made that took you off the traditional path? And then I'm going to follow up with the second part of that question.
Was me continuing my journey with life coaching and career coaching and business coaching after my mentor passed away. And then also my mother passed away. Well, my mother passed away before that, and she got sick and died in 6 weeks, 8 weeks, about 8 weeks. So, because she had cancer. So that was in 2017. And then my spiritual teacher died in 2021. So those were big traumas that I had in my life. And I knew that I had to get over those and get through that in order for me to move on with the path that was given to me by the higher forces to continue on with my life, to go on to the second chapter and third chapter, and so on and so forth.
Wow. Well, I'm sorry to hear about the passing of your mom. I know it's been a little while, but it's still, when you lose a family member, mom, dad, grandparents, that kind of stuff, it still really hits home. So sorry to hear about the passing, as well as your spiritual teacher, because she was pivotal in your life, and the information she shared and worked with you through has brought you to us today to be able to share this wonderful wisdom. So definitely challenging, I'm sure, but also a blessing in disguise, because who knows, you may have not been able to be here with us today if things hadn't got you on this path. Now, ladies, I want to ask, with regards to redefining your personal and professional life in an incident that took you off the traditional path. Jess, you were basically doing real estate. I can relate to that. What, other than that physical incident where you basically begin having fibromyalgia and your body speaking to you loudly, was there something else that took you off that professional path and led you to just redefine success in your own terms?
Yeah, I think that while I was running my real estate business, I was, deeply craving more and wasn't sure what that looked like. And I dreamt up this second business, which was an indoor play space for kids. It was this like just beautiful boutique play space for kids to play, their families to gather, to create community. And so I think that there was a moment in this journey that was really pivotal for me. It's the first time that I really just like understood the depth of my courage. I had committed to opening this play space in late 2019, and we announced it, and we were planning on opening it in the fall of 2020. And so early 2020 came, and it was it was just a really pivotal moment for me, trying to figure out, we had already invested money in this, we had already dreamt up these plans, signed a lease, what is the world going to look like this fall? Are we this is a big, it was a 4,000 square foot space, and it was a big commitment. And do we retract and kind of just walk away from the fear, take the safe path? Or do we know that the kids are really going to need this after this period? And we're doing something for the community that's really going to bring people together. And I think that's the first time that I really knew that I could do hard things, trusted that I could really do hard things when I needed to. And so we opened it, and it was a little delayed, and it was rocky in the beginning. And there were a lot of choices that we had to make that they were just hard choices for the community, but it was great. And I think that that's a moment really that I just I knew what I could be capable of.
I love it. It's stepping into that unknown space when everything looks chaotic, and trusting that if I just do it, if I just trust in myself, if I trust in my divine path, there's a reason why I was brought right here at this moment, that everything will be okay, even though the sky is falling, right? And so I love that you did that. I love that, you created this space for the children. It's a beautiful thing. Our kids are our future. And sometimes I think we take that for granted until shit happens and it starts to fall apart. And then we're like, well, dang, if I would have just understood it. But, it's just life. It's just how it's meant to be. Sometimes we think we're in control and we're not in control. We got to take another quick break. I'm sorry, but we'll be back to the Bold Unstoppable Show with Debbie, Jess, Urmi, and Dr. Rochel Marie. We'll be right back, y'all.
Let me just turn my light on because it's getting a little dark. I'll be back at once.
Okay. All righty, we are back at the Bold Unstoppable Show, and I'm having this wonderful dialogue, and we're talking about redefining success on our own terms, not the terms of our parents, not the terms of society, but on our own terms. And so this next question, as we get close to wrapping up the show, is I want to ask you ladies, have you ever struggled with guilt or judgment when you chose a different path than what was expected by you? And if so, how did you navigate that? And so, Urmi, let me start with you. What would you say with regards to that question?
Yes, I would say that I always felt a little bit guilty. I always felt I was going to be judged, and there was always this fear of being judged, especially because I was never someone who would go out there and be out there, like I was like today, the fact that I'm here today, it took me, years before I could be on a panel in front of a camera. I was very shy. There was never, you could never find anything about me online. And now there's I have a huge presence online. And the reason was because I was always afraid of what people would say about me. If I would say something, and the fear was always, the word, the judgment were going to come from family and friends, people that are closest to you. And I remember, when I first created my blog, I didn't want to put my picture on it. I didn't want to tell people who was behind this blog because I had this fear of being judged, and which is like a very common fear. But then I also told myself that if I'm not doing these things, I will always be unhappy. Like I have this passion that I want to write things. I want to give back to the community. I want to tell the world the things that I know. But if I'm doing this because I'm afraid of what people will say, then, I will never develop to the person that I'm meant to be. And so I let go of those noises in my head, those voices, because I was like, if people want to talk about me, I would give them something to talk about, and it doesn't matter, good or bad, they will always find something. This is the problem about the society, that people find something to talk about, even when you are, the greatest person in the world. And so I was like, you know what? Let them talk about me, whether it's good or bad. I'm still gonna go on with my path. And I'm like happy that I did that. I'm very happy that I did that, because I did get very good responses. Maybe, yes, you did get some comments and critiques by some people, but I also saw a lot of love and admiration from other people. And I'm always happy that I took that step, of like embracing the fear, letting go of those, judgment from people, being worried too much about what people will say, because I was like, I cannot live in this fear. I cannot live in my bubble. I need to get out of my comfort zone. So I'm happy that, I took that step.
So I love that, because I was like that too. But then I got to be like, well, I was fearful of being judged, and then I got to be, well, to heck with it. So what would you say to any of the young women, old women, middle-aged women, about having the fear of doing what they're doing because they're going to be judged by someone? What are 5, 6 powerful words that you would tell these ladies?
Is this question for me?
Yes, ma'am.
There is this quotation that one of my closest friends shared with me, and she told me that every decision that you will take in life, always make sure that it's a decision that will bring you to your closer, truest self. And so now, every time I'm making a decision, I always think about myself in the future. Is this something that will bring me fulfillment? Is this something that, bring me closer to the person that I'm meant to be? So I'm very conscious about it. And when I have to make a decision based on this sentence, I'm able to make a quicker decision, because I feel like I have a clear goal about my life.
Oh, that is so beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. Wow. Okay, we've got time for just one more quick question. And so, ladies, this question is, let me see. Here. Success is often loud and external, but sometimes the most powerful wins are quiet and internal. What is one invisible success you're proud of that people might not see? And if you could keep your answer to 30 seconds or less, that would be phenomenal. So, Debbie, let's start with you.
Well, what they don't see is what happens in my mind, right? How I feel, right? My emotions. So healing, there's a lot of examples of this, but one thing I could think of is healing from all the trauma that has happened in my life. I've watched my whole family pass away. Everybody dies young in my family. So that's just how it is, So, I mean, there's been car accidents, breakups. There's been a lot of trauma, in my life. So I was able to get through that with a lot of different things, to, aids and, different things to help me get through that. And that's how I got over those things, which you never really get over them. I just accept them, when I learn to live with them. That's fine. However you want to phrase it is fine.
And keep moving forward. I love it.
Exactly.
All right, Jess, what about you? What is one invisible success you're proud of that people might not see?
I think, healing for me too, and finding my voice. I spent my whole life really under the expectation of not offending, not, I don't want to be judged. I don't want to say something that's going to rock the boat. I was a peacekeeper. And so really digging deep and doing the inner work to figure out how to, find my voice and have the courage to share it, knowing that when I do, I heal myself. I set an example for my kids. And I hope that my story will help somebody else find their voice too.
Thank you. I love that, especially because you got the babies and babies watch everything, things we don't think they see, and they tell you about it when they get grown. just letting you know. All right, Urmi, what about you? What's one invisible success? You already shared a beautiful one, but is there one more invisible success that you're proud of that people might not see?
Yes, for me, it is my mental strength. Meaning that I would get really upset, and there were times where I would just cry when someone would say something, and something that would really hurt my feelings. But I would say that through times I don't let those words to get to me. And it's something that took me a while. And I always told myself that, I need to be emotionally strong. And people always see me as this happy girl and this and that. But, sometimes the happiest people do go through some pain. And I would say that it took me a while, and I was able to build mental strength. Like, I feel like I don't get sad so easily. I don't get offended, or I would say I would say that I don't
not sensitive.
There we go, sensitive so easy. Like I'm still a very sensitive person, but I think I developed to be better at it. Meaning that yes, you can say anything to me, and I would just let it go, basically.
Oh, I love this. Thank you, ladies. It's been wow, what a beautiful and empowering, soul-stretching conversation that we've had today. You queens are just absolutely amazing, and I want you to go out and continue commanding your throne. You never know whose lives you're changing by just showing up and doing what you do. Today we laughed, we learned, and most importantly, we gave ourselves permission to redefine what success truly means outside of the box, and not by someone else's checklist, but by our own rhythms that reside within our hearts and soul. And so here's what I want you to take away from this conversation. All of you watching, listening to us, success is not just a destination. It's how you feel on the journey. The journey is the most important part of going towards your destination. It's waking up, honoring your day and honoring yourself with joy. It's setting boundaries that protect your peace. It's knowing your worth, even when the world tries to measure it by titles, income, and social media likes. So my question for all of you listening and watching us, and to keep you thinking on how you are redefining success in your life, is this. What would your life look like if you defined success for yourself and only for yourself today? To my bold, unstoppable panelists, thank you for showing up. What it means to live a life aligned with truth, courage, and unapologetic joy. I know it hasn't been easy, and our journey is always sometimes challenging, but it's those challenges within our journey and on our journey that make us the powerful, strong, bold, badass, brave, unstoppable women that we are today. And to all of you listeners, you have full permission to live a life of love in the life that you love to live. Start today, because today may be the last day you're able to truly live the life that you desire to live. Take one bold step in the direction of your values, your vision, and your version of success. I am Dr. Rochel Marie Lawson, your queen of feeling fabulous, and this has been another electrifying episode of the Bold Unstoppable Show. Until next time, live boldly, love fiercely, and redefine success on your own fabulous terms. And I'm going to end it right there. Take good care, everybody, and please share this show with everyone you love and care about, and subscribe so you will know in advance and who the panelists are and what our topics of a discussion is going to be. Take good care, everyone, and goodbye for now.